In this lesson, I'm going to show you how easy it is to get Scotchbox up and running. So now that we've got all of our applications ready to go, we've got Vagrant, we've got Oracle, and Git all installed on our computer, let's open up our terminal and browse over to where we want to install our project.
This video is brought to you by EpiPies Academy.
And we're going to use a Git command. So this is Git clone and the repository that we're going to clone. So I'm just going to paste this one in because it is fairly long. So it's at github.com/scotch-io/scotchbox git. And then if you leave a space, you can specify what folder to create a brand new folder and to clone this repository in. So I'm going to just call it box, or we already have a folder called box, so I'll just call it project. So we'll just do PRO1. So what's happening now whenever I go over to the folder, so I'm just going to navigate over to the folder and show you what's getting installed within this folder. So we've got folder called box, and now we've created a brand new folder called Pro1. If we open that up, so there we've got our Vagrant file, and if we were to open this up, so this one, the benefits of going with the Scotchbox are that everything is all set and ready to go. So we see that we've got some of the same configuration where we've got Vagrant Configure 2, we've got Scotchbox, and then we've got the VM network. So this is the IP address that we're using for our project. So the IP address essentially is going to translate into our private network. Basically the host name is going to be called Scotchbox, and the folders, mounting options within the folders, and so on. So all the configuration information is already set within the Vagrant file, and we know once we've got that Vagrant file, we can navigate into that directory and we can type Vagrant up, and hopefully we'll just see if our box launches. So usually it does take a few seconds to get up and going, and then of course the install will take probably about a minute or so. So while this is running, we can just do a quick review of what we've got up and running within our system. And all of the steps are also available at Scotchbox.io. So we've got where to download Vagrant, where to download VirtualBox, and then there's the Git clone. So we can also go over to this repository on Git. So this is located at Scotchbox, and we can take a look at that. So we see that we've got it located Scotch.io, and we've got more information and some other Git repositories that could be useful. So there's Scotchbox there, and if you want to read more about it, it's got some more information there as well. So opening this up, we see that again it does take, the progress does take some time in order to install. There is one other thing that I did want to note as well. So while we're waiting for the install, you have to also make sure that you've got the virtualizer enabled on your machine. So by default, Windows machines don't always enable that. So you can see that when we run this, what's going to happen is it will give us an error message that the VD-X is not up and running within our install. And so this is something that we need to make sure that we enable within the BIOS of our system. So that's under the security settings, and that's just enabling the VT-X, so the acceleration is VT-X, and we need to make sure that that is enabled. And if that is enabled and everything is ready and a go on your system, we see that everything gets installed properly. And when we open up our Oracle VirtualBox machine, so these are the two earlier ones, so this is the one that we've got up and running right now, and we see that it's running within VirtualBox Manager. So when we open that up, we can see it is running. There's also a preview there as well, and there's some configuration information. So we see all of the details of our VirtualBox and what's running, and we see it's an Ubuntu system, 64-bit, and so on. So now that we've got the VirtualBox up and running, now we can navigate over to this IP address that was set, and this is our local install of Scotchbox. and I told you it was easy and it was very quick. And so I did show you quite a few other things along the way. But essentially, if you just want Scotchbox up and running, it's just that easy to set that up and provision it. So get everything set up, and then you've got access to all of these PHP modules. You've also got databases, and it's got information how to access the database and a whole lot more. And so it's got all of the access to databases, and also within Scotchbox, boxscotch.io, it gives you more information about what you can do with Vagrant, the URL to access the Scotchbox, and also some Vagrant commands, how to get it started, how to suspend it, how to resume the service, and how to delete and destroy it, and how to SSH into your server. Here's database access, so if you need to know how to access the database, so there is no phpMyAdmin installed, so you'd have to install that separately. So you can use either one of these desktop clients, and then this is the configuration for the desktop client to access the database. So a whole lot a better way to access databases other than using phpMyAdmin. But if you do need phpMyAdmin, you can also install that as well, and that you'd have to install within the SSH screen of your Scotchbox. There's also access to the other databases, and they also have how to install WordPress. So if you're interested in installing WordPress, you can do that as well. But essentially, within minutes, you're up and running within your Scotchbox, and you've got access to your local machine. And you can also see that all of the files there, so whatever is in public, so if you edit your public directory there, you can see that this is going to be the file that's actually being displayed here when we go to that root address. And that's all it is, creating and downloading the Git repo and then typing Vagrant up, and that gives you a copy of your very own Scotchbox. So within this course, we've looked at several different options and different types of environments. And again, depending on what your needs are, one environment might work better than another. So again, it's all dependent on what your needs and requirements are for your development environment.